friends, the Lord is with you. Thank you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus summoned the 12 and began to send them out in pairs, giving them authority over unclean spirits. Jesus instructed them that they should take nothing for their journey except a walking staff. No bread, no bag, no money in their belts. They were to wear sandals, but he added, "Do not take a spare tunic." And Jesus said to them, "Whenever you enter a house, stay there until you leave. Any place that does not receive you or listen to you as you leave, shake the dust off from the soles of your feet in testimony against them." And so they set out to preach repentance. And they cast out many demons and anointed many sick people with oil and healed them. My friends, the good news of our God. Praise to you.
Please don't take offense to this, whatever faith tradition you are. But there's a story that goes about a preacher, a priest, and a rabbi. And they used to meet every Wednesday for breakfast at a particular restaurant in town. And of course they do what all good ministers do, they whine about money all the time, in their congregation. They were constantly whining about it. The owner of the restaurant actually got tired of listening to them. He was a millionaire, and one morning, as they were consistently whining about their lack of funding for their particular communities, he walked up and he gave each one of them $250,000 and said, "Here, use it until I die. Okay, each one of you get $250,000. Use it until I die. When I die, I want each of you to put it in my casket in an envelope." Okay, that's the only criteria you've got. Well, they were kind of overjoyed because he was about 40 years old. This is a great thing. We got $250,000. So they did their little thing as the years progressed. He did, in fact, die. And at his funeral, of course, they all were in procession with him, and they all processed up to the casket at the wake, and they all, with their name on the outside of the envelope, put their envelope in the casket. More so that each other could see that they did indeed put their name. Right? So, about 2 weeks later, the priest, of course, because he's got good Catholic guilt, couldn't stand it anymore, and he calls up his Protestant friend and he goes, "Oh my God, I can't stand this. I have to tell you, I only put 100,000 in the envelope." And the minister goes, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you called me too, because I only put 110. And he goes, "Man, do you think we should tell the rabbi?" So they decided they'd wait until Wednesday morning. They get to the restaurant on Wednesday morning and they both said, "You know what, Rabbi, we've got to confess this. We just can't handle it anymore. I put 100,000 in the envelope and he put 110,000 in the envelope." And the rabbi goes, "Oh my God, I cannot believe it. We promised this man that we would put $250,000 in his casket. And we made that commitment. I cannot believe that you didn't do that." He said, and he whips out his checkbook and he says, "Look, here's the check I personally wrote, and it's in his casket." You see, the reason I tell that story is because there's a little hook, because there's the line in the gospel, "Take nothing with you for the journey." If there's somebody that can figure out a way, then probably me. I can probably figure out a way to write the check. In fact, my dad, about 6 months before he died, we were home visiting, and he handed me a C-note. He handed me a $100 bill, and I said, "What are you handing me a $100 bill? I don't need it for gas," or, usually that's what he was saying, gas, or buy yourself, or take the family to dinner, or some damn thing like that, But he says, "I want you to put it in my casket when I die." I said, "You want me to put it in your casket?" He goes, "Yes, I'm going to put it. Some bitch is wrong. You can't take it with you." Needless to say, when I celebrated his funeral, I did. I slipped the $100 into his hand, and I thought, "Oh, well, he gave it to me. I have to give it back to him." So he's down there. He's proven him wrong underground. Take nothing with you for the journey. Take nothing with you for the journey. I have to tell you, my friends, this is probably one of the most challenging Gospels for me. One of the most challenging peripheries I've had to deal with for a long time. And you might have picked it up if you get TWS or read some of that. But so I have to do a little bit of telltale on myself. You see, I'm probably, well, let's just admit it. I have stuff. I have a lot of stuff, and I have stuff everywhere. Just ask Betsy. I have stuff in my office here. I have stuff in my office at home. I have stuff in my office at the prison. I have stuff in my basement. Way too much stuff in my basement. I have stuff in my garage. I have stuff everywhere. Everywhere. I'm challenged by this gospel because to me, it tells me I might be a little too connected to my stuff. I grew up with parents who lived through the Depression, so we saved our stuff, you know. But I really have to get over that. I mean, I have a lot of baggage, and I know it's not only physical baggage, you know. I mean, I have stuff, but I also have mental and emotional baggage, and I drag it with me. And no matter how much I know it, I also know that if I would just allow myself to get rid of some of that stuff, the journey would be a lot lighter. You know, I probably would be able to find peace and serenity a lot easier if I just would let go of it. But it's really hard to let go of our stuff, is it not? I don't know about y'all, but it's tough for me to get rid of my stuff, even to give it away. But, you know, I had to say this to myself. When I greet the angel of death, I don't think my stuff's going to do me a damn bit of good. Because I can't see it anywhere in the gospel, you know. I don't see it anywhere. You get to the judgment seat of God and he doesn't say, well, how many degrees do you have? And did you do this? And did you do that? And where's your airplane? And where's your car? You know? No, that's there. So, you know, I said it in TWS, I just love Denny's line. I've never seen a person pulling a U-Haul. It's just not. Our stuff doesn't. But yet we live in a world that tells us that we're defined by our stuff. We're defined by the clothes we wear. We're defined by the jobs that we have. We're defined by what we can do and what we can't do. And we're defined by not only our physical stuff, what kind of car we drive or don't drive, right? Is mine a rust bucket or is it new or is it, you know, and we define people by that. We see what they drive in, or how they dress, or what they wear, and we define them, don't we? I mean, let's be honest, we do. We give each other definition by our stuff. And yet this gospel says, it's not about the stuff. Take nothing with you. Take nothing with you but a walking staff, and go out. But there's the kick. But go out with somebody else. I think that's the kick of the gospel, is the fact that Jesus says you need something to lean on and you need someone to lean on. This journey in faith isn't something we do alone. This journey in faith is something that we have to do together. That's the importance of community. Because I can't do this stuff alone. I also can't get rid of my stuff alone. Because if I'm alone, I would keep my stuff. Right? Intellectual or physical. I'm going to end up keeping it. It's only in the context of a community of faith that's going to challenge me to live what this gospel is challenging us to live. Our stuff can be things like, you're too young, you're too old, you're female, you're male, you're gay, you're bi, you're straight. You don't have enough of that, and you can't do that. Or you can't do this. The stuff of our world constantly defines us. And yet the message of the gospel is exactly opposite of that. It's exactly opposite of that. And yet the stuff permeates our lived experience. I mean, can you imagine hearing, you are enough. You are loved. You are good. You are holy. No matter what, and in spite of what the world would have you believe, I believe our God says, you are loved, and you are enough. You don't need any more. You don't need to be something different. I believe that we have a truly awesome God. You know, there's that song, Awesome God. I love that. We have an awesome God that actually loves irrationally. We have a God that loves us beyond our stuff and in spite of our stuff. Can't you imagine the disciples when Jesus told them this, take nothing with you? In one sense, in ancient Mediterranean culture, why Jesus sent them out in two was for safety, but he also probably attached them to a caravan of people because you never traveled alone. And if you had a lot of stuff, you were going to get robbed. That was one absolute assurance. So you couldn't take a lot of stuff. But the one thing that's really unique, and the gospel mentions it, is don't take an extra tunic. Well, hospitality was the characteristic of ancient Mediterranean culture. When you traveled with a caravan, that caravan kept you safe, right? It gave you food, it gave you water, it did everything. And whoever the host was of that caravan, their tent, when you would enter their tent for a meal, you'd have to realize their tents are a lot different. We're not talking camping in a two-person tent. You know, we're talking circus top, okay? That kind of thing, with carpets and all of that. When you entered their tent, the one thing that you could do, or what were required to do in living up to the hospitality of the host, was you were supposed to have on a clean garment. It was the only requirement. So Jesus says, don't even take that. Don't even take that. The disciples had to look at him, and I would imagine say, are you kidding? I mean, I'm not even going to be hospitable. You know, I'm not even going to live to my cultural norms. So Jesus was really challenging them, I think, to live the reality that they are enough. And I believe that Jesus is asking that very same stuff of us. We're enough. We are enough. We're loved just as and for who we are. We struggle with that. At least I know I do. I struggle with how my stuff defines me and how it tells the world who and what I am. And I believe that all of us do. But the gospel says we are enough. We are enough, just in who we are. But the issue really comes down to trust, doesn't it? Do we trust that Jesus loves us just the way we are? Do we really believe it? Do we really get it in our heart of hearts, or in our gut, if you will? Do we know that in the depths of our being, in God's eyes, we are enough? We don't need stuff to define us. It never has, and it never will. You are enough. God is enough. And even more importantly, this very moment is enough. Plan, yes, but be open to the options as well. God is right here, right now, and if we could just live our lives in the present moment, we might just experience the God who is enough, and we might realize that we are enough as well.